Welcome to English on the Road with Louie's English Online. This is English on the Road, an English podcast for English learners. I am your host, Louie. In today, episode 3, we will talk about Canada's 10 most iconic animals. If you listened to the previous week's broadcast, thank you very much. That was about the 10 largest countries in the world. But today, we will focus more on animals. This podcast, English on the Road, is for English learners who want to practice their English listening. We discuss topics surrounding geography, nature, and travel. But today, talking about Canada's animals, we will be talking about wildlife. So, what animals come to mind when you think of Canada? Perhaps you think about the majestic moose, the amazing polar bear, or maybe the curious beaver who lives in the lake or the river, building dams with their families. The beaver is Canada's national animal, and that is where we will start today. For each animal, I will read a short paragraph about their characteristics, their habits, and their lifestyle. So we will start with Canada's national animal, the beaver. Beavers are North America's largest rodent and Canada's national animal. They have a unique, flat, and wide tail. And they have sharp teeth for biting through wood. Beavers are known for their hard work and can build large and complex dams and lodges. They can build large and complex dams. These are like houses or fortresses, which they use for shelter in the wetlands where they live. They are herbivores, mainly eating tree bark, aquatic plants, grass, and sedges. They mainly come out at night, and they don't hibernate during the winter. Beavers can travel long distances to find food, sometimes even building canals to transport it back home. Other than human beings, beavers are the animal which manipulates its environment the most. The world's largest beaver dam is located in Alberta, stretching 850 meters deep into the wilderness. You may wonder why the beaver is Canada's national animal. Why would they choose the humble beaver rather than the polar bear or the moose? This is because the trading of beaver pelts or fur and the very valuable castor oil was an important part of economic activities a few hundred years ago. The next animal we will discuss is my favorite animal. Unsurprisingly, beaver is not my favorite animal. My favorite animal is the moose. So, what is a moose? And by the way, there is no plural form for the word moose. We can say one moose or 5 moose. Keep that in mind when I am discussing their characteristics. Moose are the largest species of deer on Earth. They can be found in Canada, the United States, Norway, Finland, Sweden, Latvia, and Poland. Sometimes the European moose is called an elk, E-L-K. Seeing a moose in the wild is a sublime experience. I once saw a moose while I was on a canoe trip in northern Ontario. I saw it walking slowly through the wetland, and it really is a magical creature. They're very mysterious and hard to find, and they are just so big. They're much bigger than, for example, a car. Some of them are even bigger than a truck. They're just massive. Moose are herbivores, which means they only eat plants. They are usually over 800 kilograms. I don't know how much you weigh, but I am around 80 kilograms. So that means a moose is 10 times heavier than me. And I'm a pretty big guy. As I said, moose primarily live in areas near the water and also in places with cold winters and lots of snow. They are not currently endangered, but as with any iconic and beautiful animal, we should do what we can to conserve their populations. Do you have deer in your country? Deer are similar to moose, but moose is sort of like the king of the deer. Much, much bigger. Speaking of big, polar bears are the largest land carnivores, and they primarily eat meat, with seals being their favorite prey. When you think of the land carnivore, that means an animal on land which eats meat. Maybe you did not consider that polar bears are the biggest. When I heard this, I was surprised. I thought, it must be something else. First, I thought, well, elephants are bigger than polar bears, but elephants are not carnivores. But think of tigers, lions. What else? Grizzly bears. Well, polar bears are simply bigger than all of these things. They have thick fur and fat to keep them warm in the cold Arctic environment. And they are very good swimmers. Polar bears have been known to swim for many kilometers into the ocean. Polar bears are not particularly dangerous to humans, but they are wild animals and they live in areas where there are not a lot of humans or cities. So they might not be afraid of human activity and they might come close to you. So they are potentially dangerous, but they are fascinating animals which really deserve our respect. I love polar bears. What about you? First three animals we've talked about were beavers, moose, and polar bears. Of those three, I would still say moose is my favorite. But the next one, the fourth animal, is also magnificent. It is called the bison. Bison. Bison are large, this word is hard. Herbivorous. Herbivore is a noun. Herbivorous is an adjective. So let's read that again. Bison are large, herbivorous mammals that live in North America. They live 12 to 20 years. That is their lifespan. They live in herds and are characterized by their large heads, hump over their front shoulders, and short horns that can grow up to 60 centimeters. They eat plants. They can run up to 64 kilometers per hour. Bison populations were nearly extinct in the 19th century. But conservation efforts have helped the population rebound to 500,000. These animals are important cultural symbols, and they're just beautiful. Like the other animals, it's important to conserve their populations. The next animal is called an orca. O-R-C-A. So orcas, also known as killer whales, are the largest species of dolphin in the world. They're also one of the world's most powerful predators. They can easily be identified by their black and white coloring. And they're very social animals that live in groups. A group of orca is called a pod. P-O-D, pod. One pod of orca can have up to 40 individuals. Orcas can live up to 80 years, very long lifespan, and they're extremely intelligent. They use echolocation to communicate and hunt. They have a diverse diet, basically eating whatever they can find: fish, squid, birds, penguins. They will even eat other whales sometimes. You can watch videos on YouTube of orcas hunting. They hunt cooperatively, which means they work together with the other members of their pod. And orcas are apex predators. They have no predators in the ocean. There is nothing that can threaten a pod of orcas. The next animal in Canada is the walrus. Walruses are large marine mammals with brown and pink skin, mustaches, and long tusks. They're somewhat similar to seals and sea lions, but they are a little bit bigger. Walruses eat shellfish and use their sensitive whiskers to detect food. Similarly to bison, walrus populations were almost hunted to extinction in the 18th and 19th centuries. Since then, their populations have rebounded. However, their natural habitats are being reduced due to melting Arctic ice. So the walrus, maybe not your favorite animal. They're not exactly beautiful looking. But one of my favorite animal is similar to the moose, is called the caribou. So caribou are another species of deer. Sometimes they're also called reindeer. They feed on lichen and grass and other vegetables. Caribou travel north during the summer to reach their summer homes with abundant plant life. And during winter, they travel south to avoid extremely cold temperatures. They're natural predators, which means the animals that will hunt them are humans, of course, but also lynx, wolves, bears, and even golden eagles. Can you imagine a golden eagle big enough to hunt a caribou? I suppose they target the babies, sadly. But caribou can run up to 50 miles an hour, making them difficult to catch. So caribou or reindeer, it's the same thing. What's next? A seabird known as the puffin. Puffin, puffin. They are small seabirds known as sea parrots or clowns of the sea. And they are excellent swimmers and flyers. They have the ability to flap their wings up to 400 times per minute and fly at up to 88 kilometers per hour. They are carnivorous and dive up to 60 meters into the ocean to find small fish, such as herring and eels. Puffins' beaks change color from gray in the winter to bright orange in the spring, which may help them find each other and gather in colonies to breed and build nests. They build these nests on cliffs, grassy banks, or rocky crevices in the sea. So puffins are really an interesting bird which can be found on the east coast of Canada, provinces such as New Brunswick or Nova Scotia. Canada also has a beautiful wild cat called the lynx. 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 Not very many words have X in them, especially at the end. So I consider that a fairly special name. Now let's read a little bit about the lynx. Lynx are beautiful and solitary cats that live in the boreal forests of North America, Europe, and Asia. They are excellent hunters with keen senses of hearing and sight, and are known for eating snowshoe hares. Lynx make their dens under fallen trees, stumps, rocks, or in thick bushes and live alone most of the time. They are rarely seen by humans because they hunt at night and avoid human activity. Lynx have thick fur to keep them warm in the winter and are mostly recognizable by the black tips of their bobbed tails and the long tufts on their triangular ears. They mate in early spring or late winter and give birth to a litter of 1 to 4 young about 2 months later. So lynx, probably one of the most beautiful wild cats in the world. And how many have we done so far? Let's count. We did beavers, moose, polar bears, bison, orca, walruses, caribou, puffins, and lynx. So that was only 9. We're missing one. Don't worry, I'll find the document and talk about the last one. But in the meantime, here it is. Yes. So the last one is the beluga whale. Beluga, Beluga. They are one of Canada's most iconic animals. In general, they are almost completely white, the white whale. But young belugas are sometimes gray. They live mostly in the Arctic, but can also be found farther south, such as in the St. Lawrence estuary. They are social animals, not as much as orca, but they communicate with each other using whistles, chirps, clicks, and squeals. Belugas are also known as the white whale or the sea canary, or we can also say the beluga whale. So beluga whales are very interesting to look at. So now we have covered 10 animals from Canada, iconic animals. Are there any iconic animals from your country? If so, it would be great for you to share with me in the comments, or you can chat with me on italki, where I teach English lessons. So if you would like to practice English conversation, or if you want to learn vocabulary, grammar, you can book a lesson with me on italki. Just search for Louis English Online. So today it was very fun talking about 10 iconic animals from Canada. This is episode 3 of English on the Road, a podcast for English learners about geography, travel, and nature. Like I said, last week we talked about the 10 largest countries in the world. Today we talked about Canadian animals. What should we talk about next week? If you have any ideas, you can let me know, or I'm sure I will find a topic of interest. So I hope you have a great day, and I wish you good luck on your English studying. This is Louis English Online, signing off for English on the Road.